Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the best sports podcast you can find on the interwebs. I'm your host, Drake Tharp, and we are back with some news after a 2-week hiatus due to me falling ill. Yes, the flu got me, and I basically, had no voice by the end of last Tuesday. I couldn't even talk. It hurt my entire trachea and just everything that had to do with my body to even force myself to do a podcast. I guess I'm not, Michael Jordan in Game 6 when it comes to the flu. But, we had to take a hiatus. But we are back with all sorts of new coverage. First thing I want to get into, the Lakers turmoil. They start out 0-3 on the season. And let's just say, they've played a few decent teams, the Warriors, Clippers, very good defensive teams, very good offensive teams. But everything they do essentially just looks forced. They have these star players, guys built for stardom, expected to do top-notch, level things, essentially without building any team chemistry, okay? They might not be a playoff contender till they rebuild through the draft. And I know that's a long time away, and they don't have any picks basically up till 2026. This looks just bad, and I have nothing positive to say about this, basically besides we might see a mid-season rebuild with either A, obviously Russell Westbrook being traded, or B, Anthony Davis being traded. LeBron, has built his teams in the past through, kind of being the player GM, and it seems like at his late age of 38, it's regressed more and more as he's gotten older. And, we kind of have seen it with the Heat, with the Cavs. He gets these players, and they, have immediately adapted to the system. But as the years have gone on, it seems like players he grabs out of free agency slowly regress more towards a system he's building. And, besides the COVID year, which, you can put an asterisk next to the championship if you want to, or you cannot. Besides the COVID year, the last, 3 to 5 years of LeBron James has looked very just disappointing all around. They're grabbing free agents who worked well in their, system offenses as shooters prior, like Malik Monk, Lonnie Walker, and expect to just throw them in and, do the same, thing with the three ball as they did on their prior systems. But here's the deal. Most of the guys they grab in free agency were ball-dominant players in their given offenses. And when you have three ball-dominant players like LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis who can't shoot, a lot of those possessions aren't going to go towards those guys who can knock down threes. Okay, LeBron and Russell are known as distributors. AD's known as a scorer, but they're all ball dominant in their own aspect. And we see a lot of turmoil with Westbrook, taking dumb shots, as you might say, or LeBron forcing threes, or AD being made of glass. These are all, contributing factors as to why, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And when you have Russell Westbrook, a given superstar, going 0 for 11, they did the right thing with, sticking with the three to build chemistry. But three players, being the only ones who stick there, it's not going to work. You got 10 to 12 other guys coming in, coming out, of this system, and new coaches come through every time LeBron has a team, and it's not working. And you see successful teams like the Grizzlies, Jazz, teams like that, building through their young talent, and, the Suns just building through their young talent, building a scheme, not letting, players go, and just building team chemistry. And it seems like LeBron's way of building his team has just regressed throughout season. So, I think it's time to, move on from maybe one or two of the three big heads in LA. And, like I said, they might not be a playoff contender till they rebuild through the draft. I know it's easy to say this at the start of the season, and there's, about 80 games left. So, but if they don't turn things around by 40 games, if they're, less than 20 wins, it's not looking good in the slightest. And, you have all these role players expected to just jump in the system and knock down tray balls, all that, and it's just different. It's different than what it was back when LeBron was on the Heat. The building a super team type of dynamic in the NBA, it's just not working anymore. It's not working in the slightest. Teams build through the draft. Suns example, Celtics an example, Warriors an example. And, we saw all those teams in the finals in the last 2 years. And they've done it amazingly and developed their players into stars. And the Lakers are just doing an old-fashioned, type way. And so I don't know what they should do. I think, one of the three superstars will definitely be traded by the end of the year, and maybe even two. Get some of those picks back. Get some of those, grab some young players out of there. LeBron's got, I'd say, 2 good years left in him. And, that 2 years is a long time to build, a better team. So, yeah, that's the Laker turmoil. Everything they do just looks forced. It doesn't look good. I really don't have anything good to say about them right now. So, let's talk about some football. Let's jump to the gridiron here of the NFL. McCaffrey has been traded to the 49ers. And let me just say, this is where my positive part of the show comes in. I have nothing bad to say on both sides. It looks like a great trade on both ends. The Panthers are starting on the roots of a successful rebuild, and the 49ers have another weapon besides another deadly weapon, besides Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Ayuk. I feel like Kittle and Ayuk aren't surefire deadly weapons anymore, and they went out, got them another deadly weapon to add on to kind of their mediocre offense, but they have a good defense behind them. So I think, the NFC favorites, you got the Eagles up top, and then I think it's a discussion between the Vikings, 49ers, Rams are still in the mix. Other NFL teams, should take notes of the Panthers and knowing when to move on, and they did exactly that and got a haul of picks back. Brian Burns, DJ Moore possibly on the move as well. Carolina knew right when to, start on the rebuild, and they traded their top priority, and they got a few picks. I think it's an A grade on both ends. 49ers unfortunately had a very rough game, but I don't think it'll affect their entire season outlook. McCaffrey is still yet to get used to the system, and when you have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, McCaffrey, and George Kittle all on the field at the same time, that's going to be a deadly thing. And I know Garoppolo, a lot of people aren't a fan of him. I'm a fan of the guy. I think his playoff record speaks for itself. He's consistent. He battles injuries, but, at the end of the day, Garoppolo is a stealthy guy who has a great playoff record. So, this is a guy who can lead his team to the Super Bowl. They have a better defense than I've seen before, and now they have another star offensive, threat. So I think it's an A grade on both ends. Panthers starting their rebuild at the perfect time. 49ers, they know they're a Super Bowl contender, and they can get there. Yeah. So let's jump to our Fab 5 bets here. I got a 5-leg parlay with 2 odd bets, 2 money line bets, and an over-under bet. Let's win you guys some money. Let's talk about it. I got Ravens. They're 1.5-point underdogs against the Bucs on Thursday Night Football. I don't understand that. I'm going to take the Ravens here. Buccaneers look absolutely terrible right now. I don't think they're going to go from losing to the Panthers by 18 to, all of a sudden beating the Ravens. I got the Ravens on Thursday night. Jets and Patriots are at an even line here. I got the Jets taking the dub there. I got money line on the Astros to take game 1 of the World Series. Money line on the Warriors Sunday night against the Hornets. And LA versus San Francisco, I have over 41 points. So, yeah, those are your Fab 5 bets. If you want to win some money, throw some cash down on that parlay. Let's get you guys rich. Anyway, main event of the show, NFL Power Rankings, baby. Let's get it. I have a list that may be controversial, a list that, through 7 weeks, I didn't think this would be the list. Not in the slightest, but here we go. Number 10, the Seattle Seahawks. It's the Kenneth Walker show right now, okay? He's completely taken over the running game in Seattle and is an absolute game changer. While they looked like a joke prior to the season starting, they found gems in the rookies on offense and defense. The defensive guy, Tariq Woolen, being a top corner for them already. Kenneth Walker completely taking over that running back spot. And Geno Smith looks like a better, quarterback than Russell Wilson right now. So that trade kind of worked in their favor, and they've stacked a ton of picks. They're first place in their division, and they're the team to beat right now. You got the Niners, Rams. I think Obviously, the Rams and Niners are better teams, or a better team than the Seahawks. But, are they better disciplined? Or right now, are they, putting the pieces together already like Seattle is? Not yet. I don't have either of those teams in my power rankings right now, but I got Seattle at number 10. Number 9, I got the Cowboys. With Dak Prescott back, they won't have to completely lean on that tough defensive play. They're a 5-2 team, and they're looking to reignite their momentum with Prescott back. Cooper Rush, played pretty, solid. But while Dak was gone, CeeDee Lamb proved he was still elite, and their defense is top 5 in the league. So they're looking to be a balanced team. I think they can sit in that second place spot in their division and, probably jump into the wild card spot come playoff time. Let's see if they can put the pieces together, but they're sitting at number 9. Number 8, I got the Jets. Now, they lost 2 key offensive players, one on the offensive line and running back Breece Hall, but they've traded for James Robinson, and they've also lived through a trifling defense and are beating teams handedly. They look like they're already a step ahead on the rebuild and could be, a sleeper wild card team. Both teams in New York, playing good football. I got the Jets at number 8. They're 5-2 as well, and they're, putting teams like the Packers down handedly. And their run game is extremely solid. Their young defensive players are making big jumps. I don't think, management thought they'd be at this point in their rebuild, but they're looking great. So number 8, the Jets. Number 7, the Bengals make their top 10 power rankings debut. Joe Burrow quieted speculators on Sunday, and the Bengals are now first in the AFC North. They're on a 2-game winning streak and have a ton of offensive momentum with, guys like Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, even Tyler Boyd making big plays. This could lead to big plans later on in the playoffs. And, it was last season. Nobody thought they were a threat until, later in the season when they caught momentum. They're catching momentum right now, and, this same thing could possibly happen with, that offensive play they had last year. It could lead them deep into the playoffs, and they've caught momentum, earlier than last year at this point in the season. And, they're first place in a tough division. I got them at number 7. But number 6, I got the Ravens. I have the Ravens right above Cincy simply because they do have a win over them, and I do think they're more talented. I think they're one of the top 3 most talented teams in the league. While they had a tough game on Sunday, they still, pulled out a dub. Lamar Jackson didn't even get over 150 yards passing. We know this team is a lot more dominant than the record shows, as they have had the lead in like 98% of play time. And Lamar Jackson crew, they're a huge threat to other AFC teams. It's true. I think the Ravens are due for one. Lamar Jackson's due for a Super Bowl. But am I saying they're going to win the Super Bowl? No. But I do think they're underrated, and I do think they're going to be a top 3 team in the AFC come playoff time. Number 5, the Giants, the team that no one expected to be 6-1, is here in my top 5 of the power rankings. It started out as a joke. And then week 2 happened, week 3, week 4, et cetera, et cetera. They've defied everything in sight and should be perceived as a top NFC team now. They have wins over Green Bay and Baltimore, 2 completely different teams, 2 dominant teams. And with eyes on, Odell Beckham Jr., he could see them as a dominant squad. And what more to the story than, coming back home while they're, a dominant team in the NFC. They need a receiver very badly. And Saquon Barkley playing probably the best running back play in football right now. Daniel Jones is playing a lot more, conservative, I'd say, smart conservative style football than, just being completely terrible. And I think he's one of the most underrated scramblers in the league. Their defense is, they control the pace of the game. The Giants are the best control of pace game in football right now. And, teams like, if you want to talk about top dogs like Chiefs, Bills, they're just offensive onslaughts. And, it's about time of possession a lot of the time. And these Chiefs and Bills-esque offenses, when you score in 3 plays, it gives, the other team to take their time with the ball. And the Giants, that's why they've won, time of possession. Number 4, I got the Vikings. The Vikings are 4-0 in their last 4 games, and it seems like their offense continues to just get better and better each week. They have relatively 9 or 10 more winnable games on their schedule, and I see their, offensive momentum as a top threat in the NFC. Peak, I see them, making the NFC title game. That's peak. I don't see them making a Super Bowl run or anything. But, they are 5-1. They have to be respected here. I think there's a lot of work to do in the secondary on that team. They have close wins with, relatively bad teams like, the Lions, Bears, Saints. But they're 4-0 in their last 4 games. They're finding ways to win. That's if that's what it is to get a top 4 spot in the power rankings. They're I think potential along with win-loss record. That's how I basically mix it in. And I think their offensive potential is, the sky's the limit there. So they have a lot of games on their schedule left, but I see mostly, doable winning games. They could finish as a regular season monster, but we'll have to see if they make that elite jump in the playoffs. If they, if their defense can get, hang on things, and just beat teams like the Eagles, the Giants are in there. 49ers. The NFC is relatively a weak conference, so we could see a lot of surprises in the playoffs, but the Vikings have, yet to do that with Kirk Cousins under center. So we'll take a look-see here when the playoffs come around. Number 3, I got the Bills. I could honestly switch 2 and 3 with Bills and Chiefs all day long. I think, Eagles, Chiefs, and Bills, this is going to be the top 3 for a while throughout the season. It may switch a few times, but Chiefs and Bills, relatively switchable. But while they were on a bye, the Chiefs just had an outstanding performance against a top defense in football, and that's why I have the Chiefs at 2. The Chiefs absolutely embarrassed, in my opinion, the best defense in football. Mahomes looked incredible per usual, but the other thing is he's finding other targets besides, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster stepping up and having a huge game. They're continue improve with little room to improve to perfection. Okay, that was a big word jumble, but what I'm saying is they are so close to being a perfect offense, but they still are improving each week. So, yeah, they're just balling the F out on offense right now. When you do that, honestly, who cares about defense when they're doing what they're doing on offense? So they look like the best team in the AFC right now. But number 1, obviously, the Eagles, the last of the undefeated. They're poised coming off a bye week, and like I said, they're the most balanced team in the league. I think their offense and defense is like 50-50 on reasons why they win. I could see, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes right now battling for that MVP spot. But yeah, they're poised. They work time of possession. Their defense is stifling. I like them a lot. They may not be the best team on paper, but they're undefeated. And, they've done a rebuild like perfect. So, like I mentioned earlier, Lakers, take notes of other teams' rebuilds. The Philadelphia Eagles are one to take a look at, even though it's completely different sports. But yeah, that'll do it for the podcast today. Thank you guys for watching after a 2-week hiatus. I think we're at episode 51. We hit 50 episodes. I'm glad to do this. This is a big accomplishment. Over 50 episodes. That's insane. And yeah, more content on the way. I look to do other videos besides these podcasts. And stay tuned for more. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.